Hey y'all, hey, welcome back to the next installment of the deep dive with Toya Creates. And we are going to jump into the week of August 3rd for the bold and the beautiful. So let's jump right in it. Monday, August 3rd was more of the demise of Will and Electra because Electra ends up walking out on Will for good. And I'm actually glad about it because I'm so sick of this girl and this character. She is the most immature woman I have seen in a very long time. So Electra is confronting Will at his beach house because the week prior, Dylan exposed the fact that she and Will spent the night together. Now, she made it clear that they didn't do anything, but Electra is not listening and she does not care. She got so irate that little miss, I hate violence, slapped Dylan right in the face. In the Forrester Creations office. So let's see what happens there. But whatever. So Electra is now at the beach house confronting Will, calling him a pig for spending the night with Dylan, and she does not believe that they didn't do anything. And even if they did, she is just floored at Will's actions, but never her own. But let's keep going. So, Will is defending himself just a little bit. He is saying that when Electra walked away, I believe at Bikini, and she told him that they would never be together again, that's what was going on in his mind. Because Electra even asked if Dylan took advantage of Will's vulnerable state, and Will was like, no, my mind was just all over the place because you told me we were done for good and you would never get back with me, and you've walked out on me 3 or 4 times at this point. Thank you, Will. Someone should say it to her because she acts like she's done nothing wrong in this situation whatsoever. So, of course, Will continues to beg and plead with this girl to not leave him despite everything that's gone on. They can get past their family issue, they can get past the business issue. Just please, Electra, don't leave me. Will, cut it out. This girl is going to have Will in prison because, yes, he needs to get control of his emotions. However, she is clearly a trigger for this because, she just doesn't put her foot down enough in terms of all of these outside factors that are impacting this relationship. And frankly, she is not mature enough to be in a relationship. But whatever, Will just has to have this girl. So Electra starts waffling a little bit and she just talks about just how she basically will probably never stop loving him. And she still loves him right now, but she loves herself more. I'm like, okay, self-worth. I'm not poo-pooing on that, but this girl. Anyways, she loves herself more, and basically she gave him a final goodbye and she walked out for good. And Will was just, no. No. And I'm sure he's going to continue to crash out behind this girl. So then RJ and Dylan cross paths in the Forster Creations office. He's just, shooting the breeze with her, but she is distracted because, as I stated earlier, Electra slapped fire out of Dylan, and she has a little bruise on her face. She has a matching bruise. Ooh, sorry. She has a matching bruise with her boo Will. So RJ can see that Dylan's a little distracted and they start talking about what happened. And RJ is reeling to hear what Dylan's done. Oh my God. So Dylan has to once again defend herself because RJ can only think about his precious Electra. Oh my God, you spent the night with Will. Does Electra know? Yes, she knows. Huh, how is she feeling? Who cares? But whatever. So RJ's like, chastising Dylan for what she did. And Dylan's like, I only moved in on Will because Electra dumped him for the umpteenth time. You were there, RJ. You saw it. She didn't say that, but she should have said it. And that, that Electra is not innocent in this. And why shouldn't Dylan go after what she wants in the situation? Because she has repressed her feelings for Will for a very long time. And boom, she loves him. And RJ's like, he's listening, but he stands by Electra. Oh, you didn't respect her boundaries and this and that. And I wonder how she's doing whatever. And Dylan continues to listen, but she's like, look, I am not going to diminish my own happiness because I'm constantly catering to Electra. And that is right. Like, no one is thinking about anyone else in the scenario but Electra. Is she this damn delicate? Like, is no one else human in the scenario? Like, Will doesn't have feelings, Dylan doesn't have feelings. I mean, whatever. This is so ridiculous. But they continue to talk, and after a while, RJ has a slight change of heart, even though I'm kind of confused, but we'll get back to that later. So, Dylan and RJ are still talking, and Dylan's just like, you and Electra are a better fit in her opinion. And RJ's like, I don't agree with your methods, Dylan, but I think you are right in that you are probably a better fit for Will. I see that you bring out a softer, gentler side to him. And of course, RJ thinks he's a better match for Electra. He doesn't say that, but he doesn't have to. Now, I have questions, Bold and the Beautiful writers. What happened with RJ and Dylan getting together? I mean, they didn't do anything other than a heavy makeout session in his new beach home that I felt he bought to compete with Will. But, those two, maybe a month or so ago, had a meal at Bikini. They were vibing together. They agreed to help each other get over Will and Electra. RJ was laying it on thick. He liked Dylan so much. He wanted to get to know her. He wanted to take her out on a date. They had a little date. And then what happened? I mean, there was really no follow-up from it. And I know I didn't miss it. I'm like, I was about to say, did y'all see? I know we didn't miss it because I don't understand what the point of that was. And then the way that RJ was kind of talking to Dylan and just Dylan interacting with Will in the most recent weeks. It's as if the RJ Dylan thing never happened. So I think that's a little odd. And it's clear that you know, they're not gonna pursue that. But what happened, Bold and the Beautiful, and why?
Needed a fresh protective style before the House of the Dragon finale tonight, channeling full Velaryon energy. This look was done using my favorite hair finds from Amazon. They're at the link in my bio under Seen on the Socials. Now tell me what your finale theories are below.
So the last storyline on Monday's episode was a continuation of Steffi, Sheila, Finn, and Lee's storyline because the other week Sheila ran into Steffi at Finn's office, and Sheila was literally begging on her knees for Steffi to allow her into the family. And Steffi was like, absolutely not, in her little trench coat lace action. I said, I can wear it too. Anyways, so then we are picking up on Monday. Finn is at the hospital and he's in his office, and Lee is there as well. And Lee and Finn talk about how Steffi and Sheila ran into each other the other week. And Finn is just noting that, Sheila cannot have what she wants, which is to spend time with Finn and to spend time with Hayes. She even offered supervised visits, and Steffi is like, no. no, no. So then Lee starts asking questions because Lee and Sheila are a little chummy now. Who would have thought? Because Sheila sure enough ran her off the road 2 years ago into a lake. And we thought Lee was dead until Bill saved her. But okay, they're besties now. They bonded over the Luna what felony, because both of them should be in jail too while we talking about just Sheila, but whatever. So Lee and Finn are still talking about it, and Lee questions if Steffi has any type of sympathy for Sheila at this point, because Sheila has been doing very, very well, evidenced by the point that she did sign the divorce papers to allow Taylor to officially steal her husband, and she did nothing. The only thing she is asking for is time with her birth son and her blood grandson, and she can't get it. So then Lee and Finn keep talking, and Finn kind of is like dodging the questions a little bit. I mean, he understands how Steffi has just been paranoid and that, he feels like isolating his birth mother hasn't made Steffi feel any less safe. And he believes in the highly supervised visits because he thinks it's the safest way to control the situation. But Steffi won't budge. And so his family remains his top priority. And so he's going to go along with what this one wants, anyways. And Lee can tell that Finn really doesn't want to go along with Steffi. And she asks him, like, outright, how do you feel about this? And Finn doesn't really answer directly, but Lee is picking up what he's putting down. Now, Lee is happy that her son is prioritizing his family as he should, but I feel like Lee is a little nervous about how this will end up as well. And I think I know she could tell Finn does want some type of a relationship with Sheila. And so Finn does ask Lee to speak with Sheila directly to force her to step back because he said he has never seen Little Miss Nightgown so stressed and he does not know what Steffi will do next if Sheila does not basically back off and refused to stay away. Now, now Steffi has done some despicable things as well, especially under duress. Now she stabbed up Sheila's little look-alike, what, 1 year, 2 years ago? She thought she had killed Sheila, so Steffi is not Little Miss Innocent either, but is basically it for Monday. Let's get into Tuesday. Tuesday, August 4th, we get back into the devastating storyline that is involving Daphne and Carter's infertility journey. So, I think about 2 weeks ago, Daphne was told by Lee that she has early menopause basically and that she is infertile. So Daphne has been absolutely devastated behind that and we are just now seeing how Carter and Daphne are attempting to even deal with it. So Carter's at work and he's handling the Forsters' upcoming Monaco trip because every year they go to Italy. And this year is no different. So he and Ridge are discussing this itinerary and, everything's going fine. They have to do this because of Big Bad Katie and Logan and what they did to the forest. They have to undo the damage done by Katie and her little minions. So that is the main reason why the Forrester crew is going to Monaco. Now, Ridge and Carter are besties. They have the most stable relationship on this show. And I stand by that. I stand by that because when Carter pulled that coup, Ridge was devastated, okay? After he and Carter made up or during their makeup after the coup, that was like one of the first times I saw Ridge cry over someone else, and it was not Brooke. I said he loved that man more than Brooke, but whatever. So Ridge is checking in on his bestie because he's just like, I want to know how you're doing. Because everyone, despite my growing hatred for this family, If they like you, and they're good to you, and they love Carter. So I was glad to see that Ridge took the time to really check up on his friend, and he really did a great job of just talking him up. Ridge was doing just an excellent job of listening to Carter and telling him that he and Daphne are meant to be parents. There are other options. He sympathizes with Carter and Daphne. He wants to help with the other options. And he's like, you guys will be parents one day. He fully believes it and that it's meant to be. And he gives his bestie a great big old hug. So I actually like their friendship and their loyalty to one another. So, in another part of the Forrester building, Daphne is working and she has summoned Dylan into her office. So, Daphne has called Dylan in to discuss a working arrangement update after Electra texted Daphne. Now, Electra was like, that girl is done. I don't want to see her no more. But what Daphne said was, Electra told me that you are going to just go back to being my assistant only. And Dylan was like, oh. And Daphne comments on, you don't seem surprised by this news. And Dylan's like, no, I'm not. And then she starts talking about what happened this time with Electra and I think just Electra. So Daphne is urging Dylan to fight for the friendship. I wouldn't, but because Daphne, I think is just in her head about everything that's going on, and she's like, um, you should just prioritize the things and the people who are very important to you. And Dylan agrees. She's like, I would love to remain friends with Electra, but I don't think Electra's gonna have it and that our relationship will never be the same. Well, duh. I am tired of this rose-colored glasses nonsense anyways, because there was no way Electra and Dylan would remain even cordial. And I blame the both of them. I blame little Tink Tink Electra for being an idiot. Because yes, Dylan was your friend. I had friends too. I'm not gonna tell my friends that they could go live with my boyfriend and I don't even live there. That's crazy. It was destined to blow up in everyone's face. And and then Dylan, no, you realistically can't be friends with someone when you are actively pursuing their dearly departed their dearly departed boyfriend. He's not dead, but this relationship is dead with Will and Electra, and Dylan hopped on that thing real quick. So no, neither one of you are, well, yeah, no, neither one of you are friends to each other. Because some of the things that Electra said out of her mouth when she found out that Will and Dylan spent the night, mm-mm, no, she, accused Dylan of basically always wanting this life and being calculating and being a shark. And, that's not what friends say to each other. But I digress. That is basically all that happened between Daphne and Dylan. And yeah. So then we see Daphne and Carter a little later as well. They are both throwing themselves into work to hide their emotional pain behind this infertility discovery. And Daphne just breaks down. I'm just like, oh my God, why can't they ever let Carter be happy? And Carter, you're a writer. Can you not write a happy storyline for this character? Can Carter have his wife and his family and some semblance of happiness? That would be great. But they are just, in the office with each other. Daphne breaks down. She tells Carter that she cannot give him the life that he wants. And Carter's like, no, like never talk about yourself that way, because she was basically like being self-deprecating, Oh, I'm throwing myself into work. At least I'm useful here since basically I can't have a baby. And Carter's like, don't talk that way about yourself. and that she is his entire life. And he's like, "Do you think I only married you so we can have kids?" And he just reassures her that their love will get them through this very difficult time. So I'm hoping that is the case because I feel like Daphne is on the verge of removing herself from LA once again and just ghosting Carter. And I would hate that. So the other part of the episode focuses solely on Dylan. Now, I have been Team Dylan for a couple of months, okay? But what I saw on Tuesday made me second guess myself. So we see Dylan walking the halls of Forrester Creations, and she's on her phone and she is looking up the Spencer family fortunes, like articles about their yachts and the family, this and that. So I was like, I don't like that. Okay. I don't like it at all. So she's just marveling at the incredible scale of the Spencers' lifestyle, their family, and she's just like, oh, what a family. So this makes me think that people may be right. Maybe Dylan is scheming and calculating and has been doing this from jump. It's like I don't want to believe it because I do believe the other parts of her story about being homeless and all of those things, but I'm just like, this is sus, girl. So let's see what happens with that. Oh my gosh, how could I forget this other part? I probably blocked it out because I hate the character so much at this point. But Electra's at she's at the Forster estate with RJ and Eric, and they're having a little breakfast, and she's just still very distraught about what happened. And RJ and Eric just cannot help but to offer their 2 cents because who asked you? So Eric's like, I don't know what happened with you and Will this time, but it looks like I finally got through to you. Will is a disgrace. He's a motorcycle riding hothead, and I am hoping that I finally got through to you. And RJ is just like, yes, granddad, I think you did. So, like, telling Eric to just kind of back off a little bit. And Eric does. And then he gets up and he hugs Electra. He's like, I just want to protect you. You're part of our family and we love and respect you. And we just want the best for you. But then Eric has to head out where he goes into the office and they have a quick scene. They being Eric and Ridge, just like, Eric was telling Rich that he thinks he finally got through to Electra. Back at the estate. So RJ and Electra are left alone. And of course, RJ is just all over Electra. Oh, I'm going to comfort her. And Dylan wasn't the only one who betrayed you. And blah blah blah. Like I'm so sick of these two, and I'm just so freaking over it. But Electra keeps venting. She feels like she was a complete fool for trusting Dylan and how she was a shark and she was playing her the whole time. And RJ's like, and Will too, and blah blah blah. And then he just continues on with the same thing. It's just blah. And then the other thing I forgot to mention, Eric and Rich also discuss how deeply in love RJ appears to be with Electra. So maybe Eric will start meddling there too, like he did with Brooke and Ridge last year in Italy. But yeah, that's what happens with that. The other thing that happened was Katie goes to visit Will in his hoarders looking home. He has lost his mind and I'm sick of it. He literally is sitting in filth. At least he's feeding himself, it looks like. But everything he's eaten has just been laid out everywhere. He has not made it to the trash can whatsoever. Clothes are everywhere. Just in complete disarray. I would have been pissed if I was Katie. So at this point, Katie is updated on the recent shenanigans with Dylan and Electra and Will, and how he really thinks it's over this time and how he's just so down in the dumps, blah, blah, blah. Katie was like, well, maybe you should stop going after Electra's best friend. That's one, son. Yes, Katie, that is good advice. But Katie was just placing all of the blame, so to speak, on like Will and Dylan, and I did not care for that. But she comforts her son. He's still crashing out. He eventually goes to work, and Katie says, we're going to work through this. I'm going to stay back and tidy up your house. No, ma'am. What is wrong with his fingers? Cuz no, or at the very least, boy, you better call a cleaning service and get them over here today. And yes, you're going to pay for it out of your Spencer inheritance, your paycheck, whatever. I'm not cleaning this up. Anyways, Katie goes off screen to handle the many piles of trash, etc. when Dylan walks in the front door once again. Why do these people never lock a door? But here she is. So Dylan's in there. She doesn't see Katie because she's, I think, in the kitchen or wherever. So Dylan starts walking towards Will's room. And then we hear Katie say, can I help you? And Dylan's like, oh. Oh, I am one of Will's friends. And Katie said, do you make it a habit of trespassing and just letting yourself into places? Yes. Questions that needed answers. So Dylan introduces herself and she sticks her hand out to shake Katie's hand. And Kate was like, oh, you're Dylan. Your first name's Melissa, right? Blah, blah, blah. And then she just tells Dylan that she sees right through what she's doing. And that's how the episode ends. So I'm like, dang, Katie was being mama bear. I mean, I understand as a mother, number one, who are you and why are you in here? Yes, I would have been pissed off too, but it's looking bad for Melissa. Wednesday, August 5th. We are back at the Forster Creations office and we see Zende. We have not seen him since the infamous Logan fashion show, I believe. Or we probably saw him a little bit after that whole debacle, but it's been a while. So he is chatting with Carter about the upcoming Monaco trip as well. Once again, talking about how it's great for the company after what Katie did. But then Zende expresses worry for Carter's personal life because they are pretty close as well. And he just wants to make sure Carter is doing okay. Carter insists that he doesn't want to place any extra pressure on Daphne by letting anyone worry about his own feelings. He just wants to prioritize hers, and Zenday's just like, your feelings matter too, and we are here for you. So it is good to see that Carter has a lot of support. So then we go over to Daphne, who is meeting with Steffi in her office, and Daphne is just falling apart in Steffi's arms. Now, once again, like I said, I hate this family, but if they love you, they love you. And Steffi is a fantastic friend to Daphne. I will give her that. Daphne is just upset that she cannot give Carter what he wants. She feels useless and it's just something that she and Carter desperately want. And Steffi's just like, give it some time. I know you didn't want me to, but I did some research. If it's okay for me to share some of the things with you, she was like in vitro, surrogacy, adoption, and she even talks to her about how pregnancy is just one part of the motherhood journey. And she's right. I mean, it is a very important part. I totally understand Daphne's desire to want to um create and carry her own child. But I think Steffi's doing a really good job of giving her friend lots of support and lots of options. But Daphne's just really not in a place to hear it right now. And Steffi also talks about how, there is still a chance that you and Carter could naturally have a kid. And Daphne just doesn't even want to hear that either because she's saying that she doesn't want to give herself false hope. But I'm like, dang, girl, give yourself some type of hope so you're not just spiraling out. But they continue to chat about everything, and Steffi offers to do whatever she can to help her dear friends because she truly considers Daphne and Carter to be family. So I actually loved their interaction. Kudos to you, Steffi. You're not horrible all the time. Over at Logan, a super grumpy Will enters the office. He encounters Wyatt and he snaps at him immediately. And Wyatt is like me. He was like, you know what? I don't have to deal with this and your little pissy attitude will be on my way. You don't have to tell me twice. So Will is like, no, no, no. I'm sorry, brother. I'm just upset. And he starts talking about his frustrations. And Wyatt's like, oh, is it about all the women in your life? Because Wyatt popped up on Will the other week just to talk to him. And he did not know that Will had company, aka Dylan. This is the night that they slept together on the couch and did nothing but just sleep. And so Wyatt is remembering this girl in addition to Electra. And so Will finally says, like, he is exhausted at Electra walking away from him every other Tuesday. Thank you, sir. Yes, you should have told her that just like that, but he still says that Electra is the absolute one for him. I'm like, my God, today. So Wyatt is confused because he was like, I just saw you ready to move on with sweet and sour sexy sauce. That's what he called Nancy, aka Dylan. Sweet and sour sexy sauce. I don't know where he got that from, but whatever. I love Wyatt. He's funny. I love humor, so whatever. So then Will starts clarifying that Nancy is actually Dylan. And Wyatt was like, oh, the same Dylan who moved in with you? The same Dylan who is Electra's best friend? So then he was like, well, I mean, Electra does have a point in being upset that you are fooling around with her best friend. But all in all, Wyatt is like me. He says pining away for Electra is not healthy for you. Will she ended things? Move on. And Wyatt, I could not agree more. But we know Will, he's just standing there staring. And I mean, he's listening, but we go back to Will's beach house, and Katie is going full threat level midnight on Dylan. And I'm just like, dang, you are channeling Brooke. Or the people said she's channeling Stephanie. See, again, I really didn't get to see Stephanie in action because I started watching later. So apparently, Katie's energy was matching that. Katie was relentless going after Dylan. She was like, I'm not gonna let you pretend like you don't know what's going on. Dylan's like, me and Will are just really good friends. And Katie was like, oh, yeah, I bet you are really good friends. You're friends with Electra too, right? How does she feel about this? I was just like, oh my goodness. And then Katie just kept going. She suspects that Dylan is the primary reason that Will and Electra are currently heartbroken. Really, Katie? Electra is the one who keeps walking out on your son. Electra is the one who keeps throwing your son under the bus to the Forsters. She doesn't defend him. She blames him for stuff that she clearly saw was an accident, like him hitting Eric. She completely ignores the fact that RJ has been antagonizing him in her relationship this entire time. But in Katie's mind, it is all Melissa's fault. And she keeps calling her Melissa with like disgust, disdain. and she will not refer to her as her preferred name of Dylan. Okay, so Dylan defends herself at this point. She's just like Electra abandoned Will several times to choose her family. And Dylan was like, I'm just trying to make Will happy. And Katie said, yeah, we know how you're trying to make Will happy. Ah, Katie hates this girl. So she was just like, she is suspicious of Dylan's track record. And she's just like, you came to LA as a teacher, you ran over Luna, and then you immediately pounced on Will the second he broke up with Electra for good. So it ends with Katie barking orders like, I want to know from you, Melissa, what do you truly want from my son? Moving on to Thursday, August 6th. We are back in the Logan office, and Will is there looking like a gloomy little Gus, but he is also just messing up. Bill storms into the office where Will is sitting, and he is clearly looking for his son. And he's like, oh, there he is. He lets Will know that he missed a very important, major conference call, and he wanted to know, where the hell were you? And Will's just like, oh, it just slipped my mind and this and that. Now, Bill is my type of parent, okay? He listened to the nonsense, but at the end of the day, he absolutely held Will accountable for this. And he's like, you are letting your personal life interfere with business, and we ain't having that. I agree. Then Bill just, he softened up a little bit. He was like, is this distraction because of Electra or this new girl you've been seeing? So Will is, I guess, kind of surprised that Bill knows this, but I don't know why. Why it's been running his mouth. They are like gossip girls in here. So why has been giving Bill all of the tea, and Bill has just been. So he and Will talk, and Will clarifies that Nancy is actually Dylan, and he admits that he does. He is interested in seeing Dylan again, and he also emphasizes that they have not done anything other than making out. So Bill is just happy to hear this. He's congratulating Will on moving on from Electra because he thinks it is best. And he's like, when the time is right, both me and Katie would love to meet Dylan. Little does he know, his wife is meeting Dylan right now and just dragging her through the mud. We will get back to Katie and Dylan's interaction soon. After that, we see Steffi and Carter. Oh, look at that. In the office together, and they are continuing their conversation about Daphne and how Steffi can be there to support him. And Carter thanks her for um just being there for him, and he apologizes for like crying and stuff in the office and stuff. He's like, you're a human, like, hello, do not apologize for anything. I am here for whatever you need. Literally, you are my brother, basically. So then Carter asks Steffi how she is doing. He's like, I don't want to make this all about me. How are you doing? And Steffi is just like, no, like, I don't want to talk about my crazy life when you and Daphne are going through so much. Like, what's going on with me doesn't matter. And Carter's like, no, I want to be there for you just like you are for me. So then they start talking about the Sheila of it all. And Carter is on high alert. He's like, what? Now, Carter has, I'm sure, endured Sheila over the years. So he knows exactly what could happen if Sheila goes off the rails. And so Steffi's talking about that, and Carter's just like, it can't be easy dealing with a psycho birth mother for Finn. And he just also wants to make sure that Finn knows precisely what he's dealing with and that he does not take this lightly. And Steffi thinks that Finn understands, but you can see that she also is a little concerned, but she's hoping her husband will stand firm on this issue and not let Sheila in. Speaking of Sheila, we are back in Finn's hospital office, and you know who has stopped by once again. And Finn is like, how many times do I have to tell you to stop this? But per usual, he just lets her come in and she brings her a little coffee and they start talking. And Sheila's in a great mood. She seems very optimistic. She is just dying to know if Finn got through to Steffi. Did you guys talk? What did she say? Blah, blah, blah. And Finn burst that bubble real quick. I feel so bad for Sheila sometimes. Yes, I know she's a menace, but she's been doing good and she deserves a break. Yeah, I said it and I stand on that. So then Finn apologizes, but he's just like, Steffi will not budge on her boundaries. And of course, Sheila continues to refute. Like I said, she just brings up the fact that she has been acting stable. She has been stable. She literally lost everything. She's been very gracious by letting Taylor and Deacon be together without incident. Surely Steffi has to notice that and take that into account. But Finn is just like, no. So then Sheila also starts appealing to Finn's emotions because she's just like, I can see in your eyes that you want to have a relationship with me. You told me you loved me. You told me you had love in your heart for me and that you felt that I had changed. But, it's just Steffi. And so then Finn, he talks to Sheila about all of that and he foolishly he mentions how he and Steffi are getting ready to go to Monaco and how Monaco is just a very special place for them. It's where they reconnected when Steffi thought Finn was dead. Okay? Finn, I why would you tell her that? I I like Finn for the most part, but I'm like, common sense is not common amongst these doctors and that level of class. Because I'm just like, are you really this damn dumb? But whatever. He talks about that. So the first thing Sheila says is, oh, because she didn't know that Finn was going to. She was like, oh, if Steffi's in Monaco, that gives us time to reconnect alone. And Finn was like, I am not gonna sneak you into my house behind Steffi's back. Absolutely not. And I'm going to. So no. Basically, you just need to accept Steffi's wishes and you need to just go away. After he walks out, he runs to Forrester Creations to tell Steffi what is going on. And surprisingly, she is clothed today. He tells her, I had a visitor today. It was Sheila. Oh my God. What does she want? Because she is so paranoid and crazy whenever you mention her name. But he reassures her that he laid down the law and he feels that Sheila heard him this time. And he does also admit that he can see where Sheila is coming from, which Steffi did not like that. And she told him, like, it makes me a little nervous when you start saying things like this. But Finn reassures her that he is down for his family. His family is his priority. He will never do anything to disrespect Steffi, and he wants to honor her wishes. And then they start talking about Monaco, and we get flashbacks of them kissing. We didn't see the church with the bells, but all was right with the world after the reminiscing. And Steffi seems like she felt secure in what Finn presented. And Finn's not trying to gas her up, you know. He was like, I just wanted to come here and tell you the truth. He learned the lesson. I will give him that as well because Finn learns the lessons from Steffi. Because I'm like, he hasn't learned the lesson with Sheila, but Steffi laid down the law to Finn, and he's been falling in line ever since for the most part. Not that, I mean, I do feel bad for Finn as well because I'm like, you're a grown man. This is your birth mother. If you want to have a relationship with her, I think you should be able to explore that. But I also understand the intense hesitation because Sheila could go off, but that's how we leave it. And Finn and Steffi are getting ready for their Monaco trip. Thursday ends with Katie continuing to relentlessly attack Dylan and her character. It is, I've not seen this attitude from Katie, and it's a little off putting, honestly. But, Dylan's standing firm. She's holding her own for a bit. She tries to apologize and she claims that she's simply been an admirer of Katie and her family for a long time because Dylan comes from a small Midwest town, and she did admit that she received Spencer publication magazines growing up, and she would look through them and she would just fantasize about the lifestyle from time to time, which to me is not something terrible. I mean, people do it all the time. I mean, this is why MTV Cribs was a thing and all of these other reality shows like Keeping Up with the Kardashians or Real Housewives of Atlanta, etc. People want that type of a lifestyle. It doesn't mean they're obsessed like Katie is trying to paint Dylan as being. Katie is just, woo, this must be a Logan sister trait. She is just going in. She's like, oh, you fantasize about this family? You've been setting this up from day one. She is echoing Electra's sentiment without even speaking to Electra. This is, it's too much. So then Katie is just like, you probably have been impressed with this beach house and this rich boy, and you've probably been plotting this whole time. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. So Dylan continues to try to defend herself while Katie keeps going, and she even says that, she likes Electra. She's poised and successful in the jewelry world. Really? I mean, is that the issue here, Katie? Are you being a little elitist like your family? Because I don't understand how you could like Electra. I'm a boy mom, and if some girl did that to my son, I would tell him to leave her alone. I would never, I would not move on from the situation, and I would advise my son to not deal with Electra. But and when did Katie and Electra get so freaking close anyways? We never saw them hanging out. So I'm just like, I don't understand 100% all of this energy that Katie has for Dylan. I do understand her being on her guard and her mama bear a little bit, but it's like, damn, you don't even let Dylan explain. And Dylan says that. She's basically desperate at the end of it, just begging Katie for a chance to prove that she is a good person. And that is how it ends. And spoiler alert, we didn't see them on the Friday episode, so we don't even know where they are standing at this point. But it's just not good. Friday, August 7th. We open at the hospital. Finn has missed his flight due to a patient needing emergency surgery. So, he's a little delayed with everything. He encounters Lee, who is catching up with him, like, why are you here? What happened? So then Lee offers to book him a new flight since Finn just does not have the time to do so because Lee is team Finn and Steffi, and she will do anything in her power to help them have a successful marriage. And you know what? She's a good mother in law for that. Okay. So then Lee is there on Finn's computer. She's on the phone with, I guess, the airline, and she's booking him a first class ticket. She's doing everything that she said she was going to do. You know who pops up yet again? Sheila. And Lee and Sheila chat, and Sheila just continues to beg Lee to please say something to Finn. Please plead my case for me. You know I've changed. And Lee is like, I have already tried many, many times, and it's absolutely not happening. And it would be best for you to do what Steffi asks for the sake of Finn's marriage. So then at that point, Lee gets a message about one of her patients and she has to leave. Oh, yet again. What is wrong with these doctors and common sense? Lee had used Finn's computer to book him a ticket. She also discussed with Sheila how Finn missed his flight and Monaco's so important for him and Steffi and this and that. Again, why are you telling her these things? Common sense would be to keep your mouth shut. Because if she doesn't know anything, then she can't wreak any havoc. So Lee tells her about the plans. She walks out and she leaves that computer open and unlocked. When I was in the corporate world, people would do this all the time and I would not understand it. Rule number one is you are supposed to lock down your computer whenever you walk away from it for security reasons. Lee did not do that. And of course, Sheila saw the travel itinerary. So next we see Deacon and Taylor at Steffi and Finn's home because Taylor is going to be watching the grandkids. And that almost didn't happen because Steffi has been super paranoid about this Sheila thing, and she almost didn't leave her grandkids there with Taylor. I'm assuming because Taylor is dating Deacon. So Deacon and Taylor are just chatting it up and canoodling, and Deacon's joking like, "Oh, should we lock the doors this time?" Yes. Absolutely, you should lock the doors. What is wrong with y'all? But he's like, "Oh, should we lock the doors this time? Because the last time we were here, she barged in with a knife. Oh, it's so funny. Oh, we almost died." Whatever. So then Deacon and Taylor start discussing everything, and Deacon feels like sad that Sheila is being isolated and iced out. He understands the risk and the potential for something to go wrong, but he also notes that Sheila has changed and he feels like she deserves another chance. And Taylor kind of agrees as well. She's on the fence, she's always gonna back up her daughter, which she should do at the very least. But I can tell that Taylor thinks that Steffi should give Sheila the supervised visits that she's asking for. So then they just continue to talk about that, and Deacon insists, and Taylor also wants to believe that Sheila would never do anything to hurt the grandchildren, but Steffi's intense boundaries are valid. So, as they continue to discuss things, Deacon wonders how Finn feels about everything that's going on because he's basically being banned from a relationship with his birth mother. And Taylor kind of thinks about it as well, but I think she feels like um, Finn is going to do what's right for Steffi and the kids first. So, she has no real concerns there. Back at the hospital, Finn is done with his patient. He goes back to his office where Lee is there. She lets him know that she booked his travel, took care of everything, and tells him to get out of here. Go enjoy your vacation with your wife. And Finn does exactly that. So then we see Finn on this plane. Steffi has called him just to confirm that he's on the plane and telling him that she just can't wait to meet him at the church. And he's like, "I will be there before the bells even ring." Ooh, 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 everything is great. So Finn is settling in. He's hoping to get some shut eye on this flight. And there's an announcement. And they say, "Oh, the last, God, what do you call them? The last person has boarded the plane, so we'll be taking off shortly." And I'm just like, okay. I knew it was gonna happen because we see Finn in first class and no one is sitting next to him. So once the flight attendant said the last passenger, that's the word, the last passenger has boarded and we will be taking off shortly, I was like, I bet you anything it's Sheila. So Finn is just like adjusting in his seat. He's ready to take his little nap. And we see someone walk by and sit in the seat. And he was like, "Sheila." And she was like, "Oh, yep, it's me." And Finn was like shocked at first. And then he goes off because he's like, "I know this is not a coincidence. Get off of this plane right now." But then you hear, like, the doors are closed, basically, doors closing. Hey, Metro in the area. Doors closed. You can't get off the flight at this point. So Finn was like, "Oh my God, please just don't do this." And Sheila's just like, "Ooh, laughs and she grabs his hand and she's like, "Come on, Finn. This is gonna be the best trip we've ever had in our lives. I'm sure for you, Sheila, Finn is sick. Do you hear? Sick. So that is how it ends on Friday. We see the previews of Finn begging Sheila to please go home. And we see Steffi just mouthing to herself because she's already in Monaco. She's like, soon, Finn. And I'm like, what do y'all think Sheila is gonna do while they are in Monaco? And what do you think Steffi's reaction is gonna be? I mean, I know she's gonna lose her effing mind, but I am wondering what else she's gonna do in response to this. So I am ready for the summer shenanigans from Sheila. We need to spice things up after the Logan Hope situation was revealed. I'm tired of talking about Will and that dingbat Electra. I am sick of it. So I am really excited to see what happens this coming week on The Bold and the Beautiful. Per usual, if you like content like this, please like, comment, subscribe, share, all the things. I really appreciate everyone who has done it so far, and I will see you guys on the next deep dive next week. Or I will see you tomorrow for my daily drama while I design recap of The Bold and the Beautiful. Until then.